Many's the time I've been mistaken, and many times confused. Yes, and I've often felt forsaken, and certainly misused. Oh, but I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm just weary to my bones. Still, you don't expect to be bright and bon vivant, so far away from home, so far away from home. And I don't know a soul who's not been battered. I don't have a friend who feels at ease. I don't know a dream that's not been shattered or driven to its knees. Oh, but it's all right. It's all right, for we lived so well, so long. Still, when I think of the road we're traveling on, I wonder what went wrong. I can't help it, I wonder what went wrong. In the late 19th century, Rudyard Kipling composed a poem, Recessional, on the occasion of Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. The poem is a prayer of stark and raw honesty, calling out the jingoism and triumphal nature of British imperialism. Kipling named the deepest sins of his people, put them in the context of the original sin of placing ourselves in the place of God, and asked for God to have mercy on the nation. He reaches a crescendo with this final verse. For heathen heart that puts her trust in reeking tube and iron shard, all valiant dust that builds on dust, and guarding calls not thee to guard. For frantic boast and foolish word, thy mercy on thy people, Lord. Kipling could have been describing America today. We put our trust not in the saving power of the love of God, but in the 21st century, far more terrifying and lethal versions of reeking tube and iron shard. Mothers of all bombs and guided missiles which we set loose with reckless abandon around the world. Militarized police forces which we set loose with reckless abandon in communities of color at home. We have 24-hour cable news channels, entire political parties, and endless social media platforms devoted to frantic boast and foolish word. We are in deep need of humility. We are in deep need of Christ's mercy on each of us, on the nation, on us all. 75 years later, another great poet, Paul Simon, looked out on his United States of America and saw deep brokenness that, like Kipling, moved his heart to cry out. He saw a nation that had overwhelmingly re-elected a scandal-ridden president who campaigned on division and fear. He saw deep divides of race and class at home, and people dying agonizing deaths under the American flag and at American hands halfway around the world. He saw these things, and like Kipling, Paul Simon picked up his pen, and he wrote American Tune, a song that for me has always been the soundtrack of Good Friday. A song that if we were truthful, if we really took Kipling's prayer to heart, would be our national anthem. Simon took an extraordinarily beautiful piece of music, one we just sang a few minutes ago, Hans Leo Hassler's O Sacred Head, Sore Wounded, the same piece that Bach used for a chorale in his St. Matthew's Passion, and crafted a lament for our nation that moves me to tears every time I sing along. Good Friday is the day to recite recessional, and it is the day to sing American tune. Good Friday is the day to fall on our faces and admit that we don't have it all together, that indeed we have failed. Good Friday is the day that as individuals and as a nation we confess that we have erred and strayed from Christ's ways like lost sheep, that we deeply and desperately need the love and mercy of God in Jesus the Christ. As Jesus takes his final breath this hour, as he bows his head and gives up his spirit, as the faithful women who did not flee in fear stand at the foot of the cross and wail, it is time for us too to sing our lament, to collapse at the foot of the cross and admit that we are so very often mistaken and confused, forsaken and misused. It is time for us to collapse at the foot of the cross and confess and cry out what we know, what we carry with us every day, that we are weary to our bones and feel so far away from home. That all our souls have been battered and that none of us feel at ease, that there's not a dream that has not been shattered and driven to its knees. That we look around us at all the deep divisions, the poverty and the violence and the pain and the rage, not just in our city and in our nation, but in our own lives. The relationships that have failed or seem to be failing, the betrayals and the chasms that separate us that we just can't seem to bridge, the memories of pain and abuse that still haunt us, the addictions that stubbornly keep us in their grasp. And we think of the road we're traveling on, and we can't help but wonder, what went wrong? God, I can't help it. I wonder what's gone wrong. Jesus the Christ hangs dead on the cross. Today is the death of dreams, the death of hope. Today is when we are all stripped naked and we can no longer hide behind frantic boast and foolish word. Today is when we are laid bare and the only song on our lips is lament and the blues. Today is Good Friday. It is the day we look at ourselves as individuals, as the church, as a city, as a nation, as a world. We look at ourselves and we see the huge chasm between what we are and what we dream to be and what we hoped to be. Today is Good Friday. It is the day we hear the Statue of Liberty saying with dear welcome, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. And we look around and see ICE agents on our streets and travel bans at our airports. We see health care being taken away from people working 3 jobs and black trans women disappearing and their lifeless bodies found in alleyways bearing the stigmata of our sin. We hear the cries of refugees begging to come to our shores, and with frantic boast and foolish word we turn them away, and with reeking tube and iron shard we create even more where they came from. And we sing, and we sing. And I dreamed I was dying. I dreamed that my soul rose unexpectedly, and looking back down at me, smiled reassuringly. And I dreamed I was flying, and high up above, my eyes could clearly see the Statue of Liberty sailing away to sea, and I dreamed I was flying. As Rudyard Kipling was in his day, as Paul Simon was 20 plus years ago, as Jesus was 2,000 years ago, we too are in the age's most uncertain hour. And today we take time to cry, to lament of dreams lost and sins committed, to cry out thy mercy on thy people, Lord. Today we take the time to cry out. We take the time to cry out with Jesus. We take the time to thirst, knowing that all that we will be given is sour wine to drink. Today is the day to feel weariness, to feel the weight of each breath. Today we take the time to be tired, beyond tired, tired to the point of collapse. Today we take the time to say that we cannot take one more step. Today we take the time to die with Christ, to fall at the foot of the cross, in weariness and to collapse into Jesus' outstretched arms, and in those arms to get some rest. Oh, we come on a ship they call the Mayflower. We come on the ship that sailed the moon. We come in the age's most uncertain hour and sing an American tune. Oh, and it's all right. It's all right. You can't be forever blessed. Still, tomorrow's gonna be another working day, and I'm trying to get some rest. That's all I'm trying, to get some rest.